the most impactful is that we had a lot of people perform really well at the end of the year who were project people who did not start off with high levels of talent, to bolster their efforts. They had to work very hard at it from day one, and they got there. You know what I mean? We had. I'll pick on a couple of people, Lauren Rashushka, Aline Duffy. These are people who were not hammer throwers. They weren't even throwers when they first started with the program. They were jumpers and hurdlers, and through one road or another, they found their way into throwing, and they made it work in the long run. We're all conference competitors and national class athletes, and so I think that a lot of our athletes being able to sit back and watch that take place over the course of the year, it brought a lot of inspiration and a sense of, if you really do put your time and energy into this the way you should, then you have a great opportunity to make that kind of a dent for the program and get to that national stage. So I think that's a lot to build off of. I think there's a lot of athletes that are in similar positions where they might not be the most talented, but they put a lot of energy and effort to it. And I think that it'll culminate in the end to something good. He's always been such an asset to the program. When he's been here for a handful of hours a week, and now that he's here all the time, I think that the number one thing is exposure with strength training. Athletes having access to him at all times to get down in the gym, put the effort in, learn the techniques better. That's been a really good thing. I think too, he and I have been together for 10 years now, and so you don't spend that much time together and not learn how to think like each other. And so it's almost like having a second self in the building with me, where he's thinking about things that I'm thinking about sometimes before I think of them, and then they just get done. And I think that raises the efficiency of the practice environment, raises the efficiency of how we do business as a program. I think that that's the thing that I've noticed the most. I think in terms of the student athletes, as time goes on, people pigeonhole you as being a throws coach because you're a big guy and you've always coached the throws, but he's a brilliant track and field mind in general. He knows every event, and people I think are starting to realize that. They start engaging with him in conversation and realizing that he pays attention to a lot more than just throwing, and has a very, very keen biomechanical eye, for all of the events. And so that's growing every day. And so we're looking forward to wherever that ends up. There's really no group, say maybe women's throws, because you lose a ton of talent there with Aline and Michaela and all them. But most of the groups are in positions where they had a lot of youth that didn't graduate. And so track's a wonderful sport. It's pretty linear. You get better as the years go on, or at least you should. You're better as a senior than you were as a freshman, and you can numerically show that. So it's I think every group has a lot of excitement to it in that regard. The one that hits me in the face right away, because it's always been kind of the white whale for me as a coach, is in our women's sprinting group. We have several first years and gals who are in their second and third year who have yet to show what they're capable of on this stage. And that's really exciting to me, because that's something that, again, I've spent most of my career here really, hoping to get that to establish. And I think we've got the bodies there now to do that. And then next to that, men's throws. Men's throws, Rock started off with a group last year, a lot of first years and guys who didn't really know the events that they were training very well. And you're going to see a product this year from those second year guys that's going to be really impressive, and something that I think they can be very proud of themselves, but us as a program too, because a lot of times people buy marks. They look at your high school marks and that's who you are. And a lot of these guys came in with not those marks, and we've built them from scratch here. And they're going to be doing some really cool stuff for us. So that's the two that hit me right in the face with that question. Like any first years, I think they're learning the ropes of college life. There's a lot of stress that you tolerate, as a first year. You don't have mom and dad and all the support structure you did when you were a high schooler. So there's a lot of adjusting there, a lot of stress. But I think what's impressive to me is how positive they stay. I'll pick on the freshman female group. They are so energetic and happy to be there, and I think that's contagious. That makes practice a lot more enjoyable. I think people learn better when they're excited to be there, when they look forward to every day, be in that practice environment. They had a really good fall so far, and I hope we can build on that. And with the guys, it's hyper competitive. There's a lot of guys that come in as first years and have a lot of talent, and realize right away that they're going to get challenged, and what they think they know about the sport might not be what's real. And then they get to go out there and compete and figure it out as they go. And so It's a really good group, though. I think again, you want to be competitive, you want to be good, positive energy people, and so far that's what we're seeing from them every day. So indoor, I'm always going to say the conference meets. I think that we build our program philosophy around the conference meets. That's where we're trying to do our absolute best. Uh, if we are blessed to have the talent and the ability to do the national stuff, that's great. But the conference meets where we want to show off how much work we put into it. So those two in particular, and with outdoor being hosted here at home, that's a big one for us to put the target on. But outside of that, I always enjoy when we go to Virginia and outdoor. It's a neat trip where we take, you know, um, take a group of our more outdoor specialist athletes, our UAA qualifying athletes, and so it's their first atmosphere where they're away overnight doing the hotel bit and doing the outdoor events. I think outdoor is exciting just because it's the first meet outside and the weather's a little bit better and you're throwing hammers and jabs and steeplechasing and all that. So I always look forward to that one. And then indoor, it's they're all the same to me. You know what I mean? I'm not a big indoor guy in general, but 200-meter flat track's a 200-meter flat track, and every meet's kind of the same until you get to that conference meet. So I'd say the conference meets in Virginia are the ones that I really look forward to every year. So success for us is finding a way to make a contribution in a league championship meet. So I've always made this statement to athletes that I'd rather show up to the conference meet and have 30 athletes qualified, score 1 point, and finish dead last than win a championship. Because if everybody goes to that meet and contributes and you score in every event that you enter, that tells you that you have a team, you have a true track team. And so that's, to me, how I try to measure the success is, did we have somebody represented every event, and were they in a position to score? Did they score? That's it. That's the big one for me. Because track's a funny sport. It is an individual team sport. It's a lot of times you can get caught up in the personal accolades and the individual accomplishments. But at the end of the day, that's the one meet every year where you really have a chance to show what a team in track and field is. And that's, to me, what it is. It's always the idea of, leave no stone unturned. You've got javelin throwers, 10K runners, all across the board. You've got someone in the event who can make a dent and score points. That's always the goal. So hopefully we're a step closer to that every year that we do this.